You've earned this coffee. You've earned this delivery. You've earned the convenience because you worked hard today. And small treats are just self-care, and self-care is non-negotiable. And $148,000. That's what the coffee and the delivery and the subscription you forgot about actually cost you. Not today. Over about 30 years. You just haven't felt it yet because it left your account $4 at a time disguised as something that tasted good for 11 minutes. Let me back up, because that number needs a receipt before you believe it. The average American spends about $1,566 a year on food delivery. Not on food, on delivery. Roughly $35 a pop, a few times a month. Here's the part that should annoy you more than it probably does. LendingTree ran the actual math on this, comparing delivery prices to walking in and picking the same order up yourself, same restaurant, same fries. Delivery costs, on average, 79.5% more. You are not paying for the food. You're paying a tax for the privilege of not putting on shoes. Now, take that $1,566 every year, and instead of spending it, you just left it alone, invested it. Historical average market return, the boring 7% number every financial planner mentions and every 25-year-old ignores, 30 years of that, untouched, compounding quietly in the background while you continue putting on zero shoes. That's how you get to $148,000. Not from one bad decision, from the same decision 3.7 times a month for 3 decades, each one too small to notice, all of them adding up to a decision you never actually got to make because nobody sat you down and said, hey, this is what I don't feel like cooking tonight costs over a lifetime. Here's the part that turns $35 from annoying into actually alarming. The Federal Reserve asks Americans every year a very simple question. If something unexpected came up right now, car trouble, a broken tooth, anything, could you cover $400 using cash or the equivalent? In the most recent survey, 63% said yes, down from 68% back in 2021. That means 37%, more than a third of adults in this country, could not produce $400 without borrowing it, selling something, or putting it on a card they're already carrying a balance on. $400, which is less than what a lot of those same people spend on delivery apps in a single month without thinking twice, because $35 at a time never once felt like it was competing with the $400. And delivery's the visible leak, the one you at least chose. There's another one sitting quietly on your phone right now, and it's sneakier because it doesn't even require you to make a decision. It just requires you to forget. The average adult in this country spends about $1,080 a year on subscriptions. Streaming, apps, some fitness thing you joined in January of some year you'd rather not specify. And of that, roughly $205 goes to subscriptions you are not using. Not using less, not using. $205 for nothing every year. And the only reason you don't notice is that it leaves your account in $12 chunks. CNET found that 42% of people have been charged for something they'd completely forgotten existed. It's not a scam. Nobody hid anything. The charge is right there on the statement, in a font perfectly readable next to a name you'll recognize the second you see it and not 1 second before. Here's a small, satisfying detail buried in that same research. People surveyed guessed they spend about $86 a month on subscriptions. The actual number, once you make them add up every line item, is $219. That's not a rounding error. That's a 2.5 times gap between what you think is happening to your money and what is actually happening to your money. And the gap isn't because you're bad at math. It's because the whole system is engineered to be forgettable. Different billing dates, different cards, amounts small enough that no single one is worth the mental effort of noticing. None of that explains why it works, though. For that, you need the actual mechanism. There's a name economists use for it: mental accounting. And the short version is that your brain doesn't treat all dollars the same. A $4 delivery fee and a $4 line item on a receipt from a store you visit twice a year register completely differently, even though the money leaving your account is identical either way. $12 a month feels like nothing because it's compared instantly and unconsciously against your total monthly spending, not against the version of you at 65 who could have used it. Nobody's brain is built to run that second comparison automatically. That's not a flaw specific to you, that's just what brains do. And the entire architecture of modern spending, small recurring charges, one-tap checkout, saved card numbers, is built to lean directly into it. I want to be clear that none of this makes you an idiot. This is structurally identical to the guy who orders the drink with 9 ingredients just so the bartender has to work for it. You're not doing this because you're careless. You're doing it because it feels like nothing every single time. And feels like nothing is doing an enormous amount of quiet damage. It's the same instinct that makes someone buy the family size bag of chips alone, eat the whole thing over 4 days, and still feel somehow like they made the economical choice. The family is him. The size was never about the family. That's the psychology. But there's also a version of this that's not about convenience or brain wiring at all, and it's the one that stings a little more to say out loud. Nobody's Instagram story is a screenshot of a bank transfer into an index fund. Nobody films themselves not buying something. The $7 coffee, the trendy headphones, the 4 streaming services, those are visible. They're the version of you other people get to see. The $148,000 sitting quietly in an account you never touch isn't a personality. It doesn't photograph well. So, given a straight choice between a purchase that performs and a number that just sits there getting bigger in total silence, an enormous number of people, apparently, keep choosing the performance. Here's the thing that turns this from a personal failing into something closer to a designed outcome. Grocery stores figured out the gap decades before delivery apps existed, and they didn't stumble into it. Capital One Shopping's research puts impulse purchases at up to 62% of total grocery revenue. 62%! In a building where the end caps, the checkout aisle, the smell they pipe in near the bakery are placed exactly where mental accounting breaks down, where a $4 item stops registering as $4. You walked in for chicken and rice, you walked out with chicken, rice, and $47 of things you didn't know you wanted 11 minutes ago. And about a third of shoppers, according to industry surveys, walk in with no list at all. That's not an accident the store benefits from, that's the layout. None of this, by itself, sounds like a crisis. $4 here, $19 there, a $12.99 subscription that auto-renewed on a Tuesday you don't remember? That's exactly the design. Nothing in this system is built to alarm you in the moment. It's built to be small enough every single time that fighting it feels petty. Who's gonna cancel a $12 subscription over principle? Who's gonna walk the extra 10 minutes to save $6 on delivery fees? Nobody, individually. That's not the point. The point is what it looks like from 30 years away, which is a number with 6 digits in it, sitting exactly where a down payment or a decade of financial breathing room used to be. Yeah, that's the actual contradiction sitting underneath all of this. And it's not a hidden fee, it's not a corporation doing anything sneaky, it's just math nobody's translating for you in real time. The same people, not literally the same individuals, but the same population statistically, who can't cover a $400 emergency, are frequently the same population spending $35 at a time to avoid a 15-minute wait, or $12 a month on something they used twice, back in March, for reasons nobody can fully reconstruct anymore. I keep waiting to find a villain in this story, honestly, because that's usually where I'd point next. Except the delivery apps aren't lying about their fees, they're itemized right there before you check out. The subscription isn't hiding, it's on the statement, dated in plain English. Nobody's committing fraud. The villain isn't the app. The villain is the gap. The gap between what feels like nothing in the moment and what it actually is 30 years away. That gap is invisible until you're the one running the math, wondering where the down payment went. There's a version of this where the fix is obvious and boring. Track your spending, cancel what you don't use, cook more. And yes, all of that's true. And yes, you already knew it. And knowing it clearly hasn't been the problem, has it? The problem was never information. Nobody doesn't know that delivery has fees. Nobody's shocked in the abstract that unused subscriptions cost money. The problem is that each individual instance of this feels like nothing. And nothing repeated 4 times a month for 3 decades is apparently worth $148,000, plus whatever the subscriptions add on top. Somewhere right now, someone's phone is buzzing with a delivery notification. Somewhere else, a card is being charged for something its owner forgot they signed up for. Both of those people would tell you they're planning to start saving soon. Next month, probably. The escalator's still moving. Nobody's turned it off.